Hello, creative friends. This is Joy. So, I'm recently getting over the flu, and so today I decided to just play around with my jelly printing plate and some different types of papers. So, I have like some mixed media paper, I have some music note paper, I have some book pages, and then I have also some pattern paper that I bought a while ago. So just finding different colors to put on this jelly print to do the printing with. And I put the yellow down as you saw, and then use the pink bottle because I was gonna put pink on here, but apparently the pink is empty, so I just used the bottle to make the circles on the plate. And then decided that I was wanting to try blue and yellow together. And of course, blue and yellow make green, but I really liked the modeling on this, on the jelly print and the plate that this blue and green, or the blue and yellow was making with the blue and the yellow and then green. And the second print, I tended to like a little better, and I was doing that on the book pages and the music note pages because I really wanted to be able to see some of the text and the music notes underneath. And the first print is pretty solid, so I was using just the regular mixed media paper for that. And one thing I noticed is, I really would, like the top when I would go over the top of it, but then once I pulled the print, I was actually seeing what was underneath the top layer. So the top looked more mottled, but then after I pulled the first print, you could see the streaking of the colors. So I don't know if I was like using too much paint or, you know, or not. It seemed to be working pretty well. So I just continued with what I was doing. And there I grabbed some baby wipes to try to clean off my ruler a little bit. And then I found that yellow and purple actually make brown because it was starting to turn brown. So I didn't want to mix that up too much and get the mud, make the brown paint. I didn't want to get it all muddy, so I went ahead and pulled my prints before it got too mixed. And it turned out, okay. But it was like, okay, we need to pay attention to the color wheel and what colors go together and what colors don't. Excuse me. That would be helpful. So I decided to continue on. It seemed like that every color that I decided to use, I wanted to use two different colors, but it just seemed like that the yellow was going with, tends to go with everything. It was going, that yellow went well with the blue and the purple, although it was getting a little muddy, so I had to be careful there. The orange, and then as you see me continuing to make prints, I just continued to use the yellow on most of this. Now that one piece of pattern paper I just had, I thought, well, I'll just use that just to kind of do a cleanup and see what I end up with at the end. So you'll see me pulling that and using that to clean up from time to time after I pull the first two prints. And at the end, I do kind of get a really interesting, there again, I'm using it just to pull up as much as I can. I get an interesting, I don't know what you call it, I guess print or printing on it. It was interesting with all the colors. So here you see I'm using light blue and dark blue, and I'm using deli paper to clean off my brayer. And when, the deli paper starts getting a little wet or too much, then, I'll grab another piece. And the jelly printing plate is a little bit smaller than my papers, so as you saw me there, I was trying to get the edges that didn't get printed. So here I decided to pull out some of my stencils, and I was thinking about contrasting colors that I could use, like the orange really seemed to pop against the blue. So I got that and was using that on some of the backgrounds with blue, and then I'm trying to here clean off my stencil on one of the blue papers, and then I'm pulling another print off the jelly plate to clean up the orange, and then again using the deli paper to clean off my brayer, and that other piece to clean up any excess. I also use my baby wipes to try to clean as much of the paint off of my stencils as I can before it dries on there. Typically I would take my stencils to the sink and clean them there, but excuse me, I decided to just try to use the baby wipes to clean them up as much as I can, because I didn't feel like going back and forth to the sink, and I have multiple stencils that I wanted to use. So here's another one, number stencil, and I'm using 2 shades of blue against the orange background, which again pops really nicely. And so I'm using some of those pre-printed papers to get some more color and design on them, cleaning off as much of that as I could with that extra piece. And then now I'm trying to take the other print, which I really like the way that one turned out. Sprayed some water on the jelly print to see if I could get some more of that up, and then sprayed the stencil because it was drying out to again see how much of the paint I could get to come up, and then using that paper to clean up again. And then again I grabbed some baby wipe just to try to clean as much of the paint off the stencil as I could. So I just continued this process, going back over the papers I had pre-printed before and getting some more contrasting color and design on them. So here I'm going back with the yellow, and I'm just, or the orange. I was going to do 2 shades of orange, but decided just to go with the 1 shade. And then grabbing another stencil and some more printed papers to pull that design up. And I'll show you at the end. I kind of go through and show you what I ended up with from this jelly printing, session. And I ended up getting a lot of really, fun and great prints that I can use in, any way that, I decide to use them. I can use them in my journals by putting down the whole page as a background and using it as a background. Or I can, tear it up into pieces and use it that way as pieces. I was initially avoiding the red because I thought, well, wow, that's really bold. But I decided to go for it, and I really loved it. Red is like my favorite color anyway, so I just really liked the way that the red was popping with, the other colors on the pages. And then here I'm trying to pull a print off of that, off the stencil, and it wasn't coming up very good, so I sprayed it with water to try to see if I could get a little bit more off of it, but was able to get a little bit, but not a lot. And then just cleaning it up with the baby wipe to try to get as much of the acrylic paint off of it as I can. And I'm just using inexpensive craft acrylic paint and then the baby wipe to clean off my jelly plate before I put it away. So here I'm going to show you what I ended up with. I'm just trying to pull them apart, make sure they're not stuck together, because I was kind of piling them up on each other. And some of them stuck a little bit, but not too bad. I mean, not enough to where they were tearing or anything. So I get them all pulled apart, unstuck, and then stacked up, and I'll show you here. I'll go through them. And there's the one that I was using for cleaning up. And that's a couple of more that I had laying up there. And some of them, like this one, probably could use some more printing on it. I like the red, the little bit of red that's showing, but I really think it could use more. This was kind of interesting. I like these little pieces of paper. You could see text and music note underneath a little bit. This is one of my favorites. I really love the way this one turned out. This is one that could use a little more on it. I could add definitely more to that. I didn't like the streakiness on some of these, like the blue and the yellow. But again, more printing I think would improve that. I like that little one with the triangles, but I don't know. I may add more to it later. And the ones with the numbers I think turned out really cool. I think they were interesting. This is one of my favorites as well. I really love the way that turned out. The yellow and the blue. And I love the blue contrasting with the orange on these pages. Thought they turned out pretty cool. The contrast of the blue and the orange. And these are like second and third prints that could use more to them. Some other book pages and music note pages. And this is pretty with the orange and the blue, and then that's my cleanup. And then on top of all these painted pages now I have that I can use in my journals, I also have all of the deli papers that I was using for cleaning off paint, which I could also potentially use for putting in my journals and ripping up and using in my journals. Some of them are kind of sticking together. And then besides that, I also have all of my baby wipes with all the paint on it. I could also use in my journals that I use for cleaning up. So that's the video for today. I thank you for stopping and watching, and if you like it, give me a thumbs up. You could hit subscribe to see more of my videos, or you can leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I really appreciate you stopping by and seeing what I'm working on, and I have some other things that I'm planning on working on here soon, so I hope you stop by again. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.